Logic is often referred as a powerful tool for understanding the world around us and making sense of complex phenomena. However, it is important to recognize that logic has its limitations and cannot explain every aspect of our reality. One such limitation is the inability of logic to account for the intangible. Logic is only as good as the premises on which it is based. If the premises are flawed or incomplete, then the conclusion drawn from them will also be suspect. This is known as garbage in, garbage out problem. In other words, if we start with faulty information, no amount of logical reasoning will lead us to a correct conclusion. One of the fundamental limitations of logic is its reliance on empirical evidence and observable phenomena. Logic is based on the principles of reasoning and deduction, which are grounded in observable facts and data. This means that logic is inherently limited in ability to explain phenomena that are intangible or beyond our sensory perception. The intangible, or that which cannot be directly observed or measured, poses a significant challenge to the application of logic. For example, phenomena such as consciousness, emotions, and spiritual experiences cannot be quantified or measured in a traditional sense, making them difficult to understand through logic alone. Logic is limited in ability to account for subjective experience or emotions. Human beings are not purely rational creatures, and our thoughts and decisions are often influenced by gut feelings, intuitions, and emotions. Logic alone cannot capture or explain these subjective aspects of human experience. Logic is limited in its ability to account for moral or ethical considerations. While logic can help us analyze and evaluate different courses of action, it cannot provide definitive answers to questions of right and wrong. Moral and ethical decisions often involve value judgments and considerations that go beyond pure logic. Logic is limited in its ability to capture the full complexity of the real world. The world is messy and unpredictable, and logic is a simplifying tool that cannot always account for every variable or nuance. This can lead to oversimplification of black and white thinking, which can be unhelpful when dealing with complex multidimensional issues. Logic relies on the principle of non contradiction, that two contradictory statements cannot both be true. While this is a useful principle in many cases, there are situations where contradictions do exist, such as quantum mechanics or certain philosophical debates. In these cases, logic may break down or fail to provide a clear answer. Another limitation of logic is that it is a static, formal system that does not always capture the dynamic nature of reality. The is constantly changing, and what may be true or logical in one context may not hold in another. This can make it difficult to apply logical reasoning to evolving or uncertain situations. Logic is limited by its own self-referential nature. The validity of logical arguments is contingent upon the rules and principles of logic itself. In other words, logic assumes its own validity, which can lead to circular reasoning or a lack of external validation. This can make it difficult to prove or justify the principles of logic without resorting to circular arguments. Logic is based on the assumption of causality and predictability. This means that logic relies on the idea that every effect has a cause and that events in the world follow a consistent and predictable pattern. However, the unseen often defines these assumptions as it operates outside the realm of causality and predictability. Logic is limited by its reliance on language and symbols to communicate complex ideas. The intangible, by its very nature, often transcends language and cannot be fully expressed or understood through words alone. This makes it different to apply logic to phenomena that are abstract or ineffable. Our ability to reason logically relies on our ability to express ourselves clearly and precisely. However, language is inherently ambiguous and imprecise, which can introduce confusion or misunderstandings into logical argument. Another limitation of logic in relation to the intangible is its dependence on linear thinking and rationality. Logic operates within a framework of binary opposition, such as true and false, right and wrong, and cause and effect. This binary thinking can be limiting when trying to understand the complexities of the intangible, which often exists in a state of ambiguity and paradox. Logic is a human construct, and as such, it is subject to human bias and error. Our judgment and reasoning can be influenced by emotions, beliefs, and cultural norms, which can lead us astray when trying to apply logic to complex issues. When it comes to the intangible, which often challenges our preconceived notions and belief systems, logic may not be the most effective tool for understanding or navigating these phenomena. This can result in faulty reasoning or a failure to consider alternative perspectives. Logic is limited by its reliance on formal systems of thought and reasoning. While formal logic is highly structured and rigorous, it can be restrictive when applied to the intangible, which often defies categorization and defies conventional modes of reasoning. Logic is limited by its reductionist approach to knowledge, which seeks to break down complex phenomena into their constituent parts. This reductionist approach may be ill suited for understanding the intangible, which often requires a holistic and interconnected perspective that transcends traditional logic. Logic is a powerful tool for understanding the world, but it has limitations when it comes to intangible concepts. The ambiguity, complexity, and unpredictability of the intangible defy logic's constraints. It's important to recognize these limitations and explore alternative ways of understanding these phenomena. Some key limitation of logic includes dependent on valid premises, susceptibility to the bias and error, inability to capture the full complexity of reality, reliance on language and communication, inability to account for subjective experience or moral considerations. Understanding these limitations is essential for using logic effectively and responsibly in our thinking and decision making. It is a human limitation to use logic in their interpersonal communication. What are the alternative ways of understanding world other than logic?